He smirked when he said it. Your degree doesn't matter, sweetheart. My cousin's got this. Sweetheart. The word oozed with the kind of smugness that made my stomach turn. I smiled anyway, because when rage hides behind grace, it turns into power. He thought he'd put me in my place. What he didn't realize was that I'd already begun plotting his downfall. It had started a year before. When I first joined the company, Greg, the general manager, called me his brightest find. I believed him. He took me under his wing, introduced me around, and let me sit in on meetings I had no clearance for. For a while, I thought he truly recognized my talent. I was wrong. He'd only recognized how useful it could be to him. I began noticing it when my proposals were credited to other people. Then came the breaking point. The logistics overhaul I'd built from scratch, the one that saved the brand six figures, was presented as Melissa's work, his cousin. That's when I realized Greg wasn't a mentor. He was a gatekeeper, and that gate only swung open for family. When I confronted him, he laughed. It's business, not betrayal. Don't take it personally. But betrayal is always personal, especially when it hides behind a friendly smile. I didn't yell. I didn't walk out. I stayed, and I watched. Every late night, every file he let me handle, every bit of system access I quietly held on to after my transfer. I absorbed it all. I studied company structures, internal audits, compliance trails. I tracked how money moved, how Greg covered for Melissa's blunders, how their numbers always looked too perfect to be real. By the time he told me I was no longer needed, I already had the entire web of corruption mapped out. The next morning, I didn't show up to plead for my job. I came to deliver a report straight to the regional director. It was structured like a thesis. Precise, data-driven, impossible to refute. Audit inconsistencies, fake signatures, manipulated metrics. Every thread leading back to Greg and Melissa. The director didn't speak much. Just one question. Are you certain? I don't make claims I can't prove. I replied. He nodded and scheduled a surprise inspection for the next day. Greg was in the middle of laughing with Melissa when the director walked in. The entire office froze. Where is she? The director asked. Greg smirked, still confident. Fired her yesterday. She was becoming difficult. And that's when I saw it. The precise instant his confidence cracked. The director's tone turned icy. My God, what have you done? The silence that followed was suffocating. You could almost hear Greg's pulse racing beneath his forced grin. Minutes later, I was called into the office. Greg wouldn't look at me. Melissa clutched her phone like it might save her. The director slid my report across the table. You did your homework, he said. I nodded once. Greg stammered. This is all a misunderstanding. Then explained the falsified contracts. The director cut in. No one spoke after that. Within an hour, security escorted Greg and Melissa out. The same hallway where I'd once stood humiliated now echoed with their disgrace. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through sealed reports and signed termination papers. A week later, I was reinstated and promoted. The director called it correcting an oversight. I called it balance. Greg tried calling me once. I didn't answer. There's no closure in hearing a liar beg. People often ask how I stayed so calm. The truth? I learned that revenge isn't fueled by anger. It's built on precision. I never shouted. I never threatened. I simply waited until the truth spoke for itself. Because men like Greg always underestimate quiet women. They think silence means weakness. But silence is a strategy, the pause before the strike. The office feels lighter now. Sometimes I hear whispers about the incident. They don't know every detail, only that it ended abruptly and completely. That's enough. Every morning, I pass Greg's old office. The nameplate's gone. The blinds are open. The sunlight feels cleaner now. I don't feel guilt. I feel clarity. He built his empire on stolen work. I just pulled the ground out from under him. Was it worth it? Absolutely. There's a rare peace in reclaiming your dignity without ever raising your voice. He once called me sweetheart. Now he calls me ma'am. And that's a kind of revenge no title can surpass.